Hey there. If you have not fallen asleep during my last video, then I really congratulate you. Today we'll talk about strings and numbers in JavaScript. By now you should learn how to create variables with let. You should know how to create constants with const. And you should know how to log something to the console with console.log. If you don't know how to do that, then I suggest going back and rewatching previous lessons. JavaScript's variables can hold values of different types. Each JavaScript value, however, has a strictly defined type. Let's start with the key differences between strings and numbers in JavaScript. All text information in JavaScript is considered to be a string. To create a string, just wrap any sequence of characters in quotes. Quotes can be single, double, or backticks. For example, here I've created 3 variables and they're all strings, but they are created a little differently. The second one I wanted to use double quotes, so I'll correct myself here. The first one uses single quotes. The second one uses double quotes. And then the last one uses backticks. Why is this important? This is important for you to understand that there's no fundamental differences between those 3 strings. Those are all strings. That's it that you need to know for now. Let's delete this example and learn how you can concatenate or glue together 2 strings in JavaScript. So in JavaScript, you can concatenate the strings together using the plus operator. Here I'm creating 2 variables, first name and surname, and then we'll create a variable full name. Let full name equal to first name plus surname. Then I will add a console log, console.log full name. To see what's the output, let's clear the console to make it better. The output is Jack Jones, which is effectively first string plus the second string. If you want to add a space between those first name and surname, you need to add one more plus. Then add a string that has a space in it and nothing but a space. And then continue to the surname. Now we see that there's a space between the first name and the surname. This is very important. This is a string as well, and this is not an empty string. This is a string with a space in it. An empty string is different. Empty string is something like let empty equal to empty string. The string doesn't have anything in it, but it's still a string. You can check that something is a string using the typeof operator. Here I will log the value. Here I will log the type of those 3 variables that I've just created. Well, in fact, 4 values. Console.log type of full name. You see that the type is string, 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 and string, which is the string in all 4 instances, and the empty string is a string as well. Now let's consider numbers and see how they're different from strings. So apart from strings, JavaScript variables are very often holding numbers. Numbers can be both integers and floating point. Here I've created 4 variables, a, b, c, and year, and saved 4 values in them. 0.4 minus 15.22 and year equals to 2055. Take a note that this time those variables don't have quotes. You can print out those numbers to the console the same way as you're printing strings. With console.log a or console.log b, console.log c. Okay, let's make sure it works. Yeah, as you see, those 3 numbers are logged to the console. Now another note about quotes. It's super important for you to understand the difference between strings and numbers. Let's use the variable a and check its type. I will remove the console logs for b and c and just stick to a for now. We'll say type of a. When I run this code, I will see that the type of a is number, which is not surprising because a is equal to 1. However, if I just do one little change, and if I add quotes around this 1 and rerun this code, we'll see that the now type of the variable a has changed to string. So 1 in quotes is a string, and 1 without quotes is a number. It's super, super important. So please pay attention to it and just remember it forever. Let's try to work with the numbers a and b. and log their sum to the console. Unsurprisingly, we got 1.4 because a is equal to 1 and b is equal to 0.4. But once again, I'm going to those quotes and strings again. If you just do one little change and change a to string and rerun the code, what you will get is 10.4, which is actually not 10.4 as you can think. Now it's a string. So if you were to say, let's move this to another variable like c, that c is equal to a plus b, and then we'll log type of c. You will see that c is not a number now. Now it's a string. We got the string just by concatenating a string a with the number that got converted to a string and then glued to the string a. So effectively, it's the same as this. We'll log the type of c and then c. We run the code. It's a string with the value 10.4. Not 10.4, but 10.4. So if any of the variables in your equation is a string, you will get a string in the end. And if both are numbers, then you'll get the number. Number 1.4. JavaScript is a dynamically typed language. This means that the type of variable isn't strictly defined when the variable is created. So if you just create something like a without assigning anything to it, its type will actually be undefined. You can check it with console.log type of a. Its type is undefined, but it changes based on the value that the variable holds. You can create a variable, save a number in it, and then override it with a string. So let's add 2 more type checks, and then let's add assignments, like a is equal to 10, and then a is equal to 10 in quotes. We will rerun the code and you'll see that first the value of a is undefined as soon as we're creating it. Then when we assign the value 10, the number 10, it turns to number for this console log. Actually, we'll put it here. Number undefined. And then eventually turns to string when we say a is equal to 10. That's all you need to know for now about strings and numbers in JavaScript. In the next lesson, you'll learn about JavaScript operators and Boolean type.